3,000 years ago, a king was dying. His name was Hezekiah. The account describes a severe infection, a deep boil, likely an abscess, that his physicians could not resolve. A prophet arrived and gave a prescription that had nothing to do with prayer alone. He ordered a paste of figs pressed directly onto the wound. The king recovered. Modern biochemists eventually analyzed what that fig paste contained. Phycin, an enzyme that breaks down damaged tissue and promotes wound closure. Documented antimicrobial compounds. Anti-inflammatory properties confirmed in laboratory research. The prescription worked. Not because of faith, because figs contain compounds that do specific, documented biological work on infected tissue. The ancient world arrived at that conclusion through observation alone, watching what happened to people who used this preparation versus people who did not. Across enough generations that the knowledge became encoded in religious literature considered important enough to preserve for 3,000 years. What we are going to look at today are 10 of those meals. Not supplements, not protocols, actual food, specific combinations of ingredients that the ancient world ate daily and that modern research keeps returning to, surprised to find that the oldest observations were often the most accurate ones. Number 4 combines two ingredients that have been eaten together for over 5,000 years, and researchers studying their synergistic effect on gut bacteria are finding results that neither ingredient produces alone. 10 meals. Let's get into them. Number 1. Lentil and garlic soup. There is a moment in Genesis where Esau sells his birthright for a bowl of lentil soup. Most people read that as a story about impulsiveness. What it also tells you is that lentil soup was the thing a hungry man wanted most in the ancient world. Not bread, not meat. Lentil soup, specifically the kind made with garlic, a combination that has appeared in the cooking of Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia, Greece, and Rome for at least 5,000 years without interruption. Lentils deliver complete plant protein alongside resistant starch, a fiber that feeds the beneficial bacteria responsible for a significant portion of immune function. For anyone over 60 whose gut microbiome diversity has declined with age, lentils are one of the most effective dietary tools for restoring the bacterial populations that regulate immunity and keep systemic inflammation in check. Add garlic generously, the way the ancient world actually used it, not one clove but several. When garlic is crushed, allicin forms almost instantly. A 2016 meta-analysis reviewing 33 clinical trials found regular garlic consumption significantly reduced the frequency and severity of upper respiratory infections, lowered blood pressure by an average of 8 points systolic, and reduced LDL cholesterol in participants with elevated levels. Egyptian medical papyri list garlic in over 20 separate medicinal preparations. This was not folk superstition. It was a record of observed outcomes across generations. Add cumin, which stimulates digestive enzymes and reduces blood sugar response after meals. Add coriander for its calming effect on intestinal spasms. Finish with cold-pressed olive oil poured over after cooking, which makes every fat-soluble compound in the bowl more bioavailable. The people who ate this soup daily were not running an immune protocol. They were having lunch. The fact that the two descriptions are identical is the most important thing this meal has to teach. How to make it. Simmer 1 cup of red lentils in 4 cups of broth for 20 minutes. Crush 6 garlic cloves, wait 10 minutes, then sauté in olive oil with 1 teaspoon each of cumin and coriander. Add to lentils. Finish with lemon juice, salt, and a generous pour of cold-pressed olive oil off the heat. The 10-minute wait after crushing garlic is when the allicin forms. Do not skip it. Number 2. Fermented goat yogurt with cucumber and mint. In Numbers 11, the Israelites wandering in the wilderness longed for the foods they had eaten in Egypt. Among the foods they remembered were cucumbers. In a hot, arid climate, where heat exhaustion was a daily reality and water sources unreliable, this was not nostalgia. Cucumbers in that context were a survival food, a hydration strategy. The ancient world thought about food as a precise response to specific biological conditions, not fuel alone but medicine, calibrated to where you were and what your body needed. Combine cucumbers with fermented goat milk yogurt, and the combination changes entirely. Goat milk has a different protein structure than commercial cow's milk. a gentler casein type that produces significantly less inflammatory response in the gut lining and is considerably easier to digest. Fermented into yogurt, it becomes a living food. A 2021 Stanford randomized controlled trial found that people who consumed fermented foods daily showed measurable reductions in 19 separate markers of inflammation in the blood within 10 weeks. Not one marker, 19. For anyone over 60 managing joint discomfort, digestive irregularity, or slow recovery, that finding has direct practical implications. Add fresh mint, which activates receptors in the stomach that trigger a genuine relaxation response in smooth muscle throughout the digestive tract, reducing the bloating that becomes increasingly common after 60 as digestive motility naturally slows. This bowl hydrates, restores the gut, and reduces inflammation. The people who ate it every day in the desert were thinking about how it made them feel. Sometimes that is enough information to build a meal around. How to make it. Slice 1 cucumber thinly. Combine with 1 cup of full-fat fermented goat yogurt with live cultures on the label. Add fresh torn mint leaves and 2 tablespoons of cold-pressed olive oil. Season with sea salt and lemon. Eat immediately. Number 3. Pomegranate and walnut grain bowl. King Solomon's temple had 200 carved pomegranates on its pillars. The high priest's robe was decorated with them. The Song of Solomon references pomegranate juice as the most desirable drink imaginable. A fruit does not get worked into the most sacred architecture in the ancient world by accident. Something about this fruit kept drawing attention across generations in a way that architecture, ceremony, and literature all tried to capture and could not quite explain. Pomegranates contain elegitannins, compounds found in almost no other fruit at comparable concentrations. Gut bacteria convert them into urolithin A. A 2019 clinical trial in Nature Metabolism found urolithin A significantly improved muscle function in older adults by triggering mitophagy, a cellular cleanup process that removes damaged mitochondria and prompts production of new, healthy ones. For anyone over 60 experiencing the muscle weakness and fatigue most people attribute simply to aging, this mechanism is directly relevant. Pomegranate juice has also been shown to reduce systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 points after regular consumption. Build this into a grain bowl with whole barley as the base, which contains the highest concentration of cholesterol-lowering beta-glucan fiber found in any grain on Earth. Add pomegranate seeds, a handful of walnuts for omega-3, and dress with cold-pressed olive oil. The oil does not just contribute its own anti-inflammatory compounds. It makes every fat-soluble nutrient in the bowl more bioavailable. The pomegranate seeds are doing specific cellular repair work that took researchers until 2019 to fully characterize. How to make it. Cook half a cup of whole barley in 2 cups of broth for 40 minutes. Top with pomegranate seeds, raw walnuts, fresh parsley, and optional crumbled goat cheese. Dress with cold-pressed olive oil and lemon. Barley refrigerates well. Cook a batch at the start of the week. Number 4. Figs and almonds. Go back to that story. King Hezekiah, dying from a severe infection. Isaiah orders a paste of figs pressed onto the wound. The king recovers. When researchers analyzed what was in that fig paste, they found phycin, a proteolytic enzyme that breaks down damaged tissue and promotes wound closure. Antimicrobial compounds active against multiple bacterial strains. Anti-inflammatory properties confirmed in laboratory settings. The ancient world had arrived at a pharmacologically active wound treatment through observation alone and encoded it in a moment preserved in religious literature for 3,000 years. Eaten as food, figs are among the most mineral-dense fruits available, high in pectin fiber that feeds bifidobacterium, the gut bacteria most responsible for immune regulation, alongside magnesium, potassium, calcium, and B vitamins. Pair figs with almonds, and the combination is more powerful than either alone. Almonds deliver vitamin E in its most bioavailable form, protecting cell membranes from oxidative damage that accumulates with age. A 2021 randomized controlled trial found daily almond consumption significantly reduced LDL cholesterol, improved gut microbiome diversity, and reduced markers of gut inflammation over 16 weeks. The almond blossom was carved into the menorah, the most sacred object in the ancient temple. Aaron's rod budded specifically with almond blossoms. The ancient world built sacred significance around this nut because generation after generation, they watched what happened to people who ate it regularly. The fat in the almonds makes the fat-soluble nutrients in the figs more bioavailable. The fiber types complement rather than duplicate. How to make it? Slice 4 fresh figs in half. Arrange with a small handful of raw almonds, not roasted, as high heat reduces vitamin E. Add a drizzle of raw honey and a pinch of sea salt. Dried figs work through winter with slightly higher mineral concentration per gram. Number 5. Chickpea and herb salad, with olive oil. There is no dramatic scripture moment for chickpeas, no miracle, no vision, no prophet calling them out. They were simply always there, ground into flour, boiled into stews, eaten whole throughout the ancient Near East for at least 10,000 years. Foods do not persist across 100 centuries unless something about them genuinely works. Chickpeas have a glycemic index of approximately 28, compared to white bread at 75, producing almost no blood sugar response despite their carbohydrate content. For anyone over 60 managing blood sugar regulation, that number is clinically significant. Their resistant starch feeds gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that reduce systemic inflammation and support gut lining integrity. A 2021 meta-analysis reviewing 26 randomized controlled trials found regular legume consumption was the single dietary habit most consistently associated with healthy aging across all cultures studied. Not a supplement, just beans eaten faithfully day after day across a lifetime. Dress with cold-pressed olive oil, and the oleocanthal it contains inhibits the same inflammatory pathway as ibuprofen, without the gastric irritation that makes long-term NSAID use problematic for older adults. The health of ancient populations was not built on any single food. It was built on consistency. Chickpeas every day, olive oil on everything, herbs added without thinking because it was simply how food was made. How to make it. 1 can of chickpeas drained and rinsed. Combine with diced cucumber, cherry tomatoes, fresh parsley and mint. Dress with 3 tablespoons of cold-pressed olive oil, lemon juice, salt, and a pinch of cumin. Eat at room temperature. 10 minutes of preparation. 10,000 years of evidence. Number 6. Dates stuffed with nuts. The date palm is mentioned more than any other fruit tree in ancient literature. That was not poetry. It was practical. Desert traders and soldiers carried dates because dates kept them moving when nothing else would. No refrigeration required. Dense with energy. Available year-round. Ramadan fasting has been broken with dates for over 1,000 years, not as tradition alone, but because the body absorbs them gently and efficiently after a period of not eating. Dates contain natural glucose and fructose that deliver rapid, reliable energy, but packaged with fiber, magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins, unlike refined sugar. Now stuff those dates with almonds, walnuts, or pistachios. The fats and protein from the nuts slow absorption of the natural sugars, transforming rapid fuel into sustained fuel. Pistachios feed bifidobacterium more effectively than almost any other nut, a prebiotic effect documented in a 2020 randomized trial showing significantly improved gut microbiome diversity over 12 weeks. Walnuts add omega-3. Almonds add vitamin E. The combination produces portable medicine, rapid energy balanced by sustained release, delivered alongside the minerals required to metabolize it. The ancient world figured this out long before any trial confirmed it. Number 7. Roasted lamb with herbs and dates. Lamb is the most ceremonially significant animal in ancient scripture. Its presence at ancient tables was not only symbolic, it was nutritional in ways that made it irreplaceable for people living physically demanding lives. Slow-roasted lamb provides B12 in concentrations exceeding most other foods. B12 deficiency is one of the most common and most clinically underdiagnosed conditions in adults over 60, directly linked to neurological decline, fatigue, and cognitive impairment, frequently mistaken for early dementia. Studies suggest up to 20% of adults over 60 are deficient without knowing it. 1 serving of lamb provides more than the full recommended daily intake. The iron in lamb is heme iron, absorbed at up to 30% efficiency compared to 2 to 10% for plant sources. Clinical research has confirmed that the fruit acids in dates enhance iron absorption from meat eaten in the same meal. The two foods together are more nutritious than either alone. Roast over rosemary, thyme, and hyssop. These herbs infuse the meat with thymol and rosmarinic acid, volatile antimicrobial compounds that also support digestion of rich animal fat. The ancient world was not adding herbs for flavor alone. They were making powerful foods safer and more digestible simultaneously. How to make it. Season a lamb shoulder with sea salt, crushed garlic, fresh rosemary, and thyme. Roast at 325 degrees for 3 to 4 hours until the meat falls from the bone. Slow cooking breaks connective tissue into gut-healing collagen gelatin. Serve with medjool dates alongside and pan juices poured over the top. Number 8. Bone broth. With root vegetables and spices. Every major ancient civilization made bone broth. Roman legions carried bones on military campaigns to make it. Chinese physicians prescribed it for recovery from illness as far back as 500 BCE. Jewish communities developed chicken bone broth preparations so consistently effective at recovering the sick that medieval physicians called it Jewish penicillin. Every culture that had access to animal bones and fire made broth from those bones. That universality across civilizations with no contact with each other is not coincidence. It is consistent observation of consistent outcomes. Bone broth contains glycine and proline, amino acids available from almost no other food source in significant concentrations. Your intestinal lining is 1 cell thick. Collagen is the primary structural protein maintaining that barrier's integrity. After 60, collagen production declines by approximately 1% per year. The gut lining thins, permeability increases. Systemic inflammation rises as compounds that should remain in the gut cross into circulation. A 2017 study in the Journal of Clinical Gastroenterology confirmed that glycine supplementation directly reduced intestinal permeability markers. Bone broth delivers glycine in its most bioavailable form alongside gelatin that coats and soothes the gut lining mechanically, while the amino acids repair it biochemically. Add turmeric and black pepper for curcumin in its most bioavailable combination. Add ginger for its documented anti-inflammatory effect on gut mucosa. This is not a soup. It is gut repair in a bowl that your great-grandmother would have recognized as ordinary Tuesday dinner. How to make it. Place 2 to 3 pounds of mixed bones in a large pot. Cover with cold water. Add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and sit for 30 minutes. The acid draws minerals from the bones. Simmer 12 to 24 hours on the lowest possible heat. Add root vegetables, fresh ginger, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, and sea salt in the final 2 hours. Strain and refrigerate. The broth should gel when cold. That gelatin is the collagen you are after. Number 9. The 7 Sacred Foods Bowl. Deuteronomy 8:8. God speaking to Moses about the Promised Land, and rather than describing it in general terms of abundance, the passage becomes precise. 7 specific foods listed by name: wheat, barley, grapes, figs, pomegranates, olives, and dates. Scholars have read this for millennia as a description of agricultural fertility. That reading is accurate, but when modern nutritional scientists analyze these 7 foods together as a system, they found something that requires explanation. Each food provides what the others lack. Barley supplies beta-glucan fiber and slow-burning energy without blood sugar disruption. Grapes bring resveratrol that activates SIRT1, the longevity gene associated with extended healthy lifespan in research across multiple species. Figs supply magnesium, potassium, and calcium, the precise minerals that grains and fruits consistently lack. They fill the nutritional gaps as if the list was designed with those gaps in mind. Pomegranates deliver L-gitannins that convert to urolithin A, triggering the mitochondrial cleanup that improves muscle function in older adults in ways no other food source currently matches. Olives deliver oleocanthal and monounsaturated fats that make every fat-soluble nutrient in this bowl dramatically more bioavailable. The olives do not just contribute their own nutrition, They unlock the nutrition of everything surrounding them. Dates provide rapid natural energy, with tannins that have documented antimicrobial activity. When researchers map these 7 foods as a complete system, the protein gaps in the grains are covered by the amino acid profiles of the fruits. The anti-inflammatory compounds from multiple sources work synergistically, producing effects greater than any single ingredient could generate alone. Cancer researchers, cardiologists, gut health specialists, and longevity scientists keep arriving at these same 7 foods from completely different starting points. The list has not changed in 3,000 years because it did not need to. Number 10. Raw honey and olive oil tonic. We end with the simplest preparation on this entire list. 2 ingredients, no cooking, 30 seconds. And a combined history of documented human use, stretching back further than almost anything else we consume. Raw honey was found in Tutankhamun's tomb, sealed in clay jars over 3,300 years ago, and reportedly still edible when archaeologists opened them in 1922. Nothing synthetic produced by modern food technology approaches that stability. The stability is not incidental. It is a direct result of the antimicrobial compounds in raw honey that prevent the bacterial and fungal growth that spoils everything else. Raw honey contains defensin-1, a protein produced by bees' immune systems, hydrogen peroxide produced enzymatically during curing, methylglyoxal, with documented activity against resistant pathogens in laboratory settings, over 200 bioactive compounds that pasteurization destroys entirely. Combine raw honey with cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, and something shifts that neither ingredient produces alone. The polyphenols in olive oil, particularly hydroxytyrosol, one of the most potent antioxidants identified in any food, are fat-soluble compounds that require a carrier for absorption. Raw honey's natural sugars create a response that drives fat-soluble nutrients into cells more efficiently. A 2020 review in Oxidative Medicine and Cellular Longevity found that the combined antioxidant activity of honey and olive oil polyphenols exceeded what either compound produced independently, a synergistic rather than simply additive effect. For anyone over 60 looking for the most accessible daily immune and anti-inflammatory practice on this entire list, this is it. 1 tablespoon of each, every morning, before anything else. The ancient world did not separate medicine from food. They had ingredients that worked, combined into preparations eaten daily without drama, because daily and undramatic was how you built a lifetime of health. This tonic is the distilled version of that understanding.